about to listen to Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, the podcast, where we speak our truth, show up anyway, and lead from the front. Follow me. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. I'm here with Mr. Quatrell Walker, but before we get talking about all the great things that he's done and doing, I'm going to put a plug in for my book. This is Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, the book, and it's my story of grit, growth, and leadership from the ground up. It's available on Amazon.com, and it's the lessons learned through poverty living on the streets, joining the military, and then transitioning out, working a few jobs, and then starting a business of my own. So if you're interested in that kind of a story, it's designed to uplift you and let you know that anybody from any background can do anything, just like this podcast. Then go to Amazon.com and buy Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. It's my book. Okay. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Quatrell Walker is here. He's an Army veteran. He's up in the coldest place in the United States, and he's going to tell us about our story. How you doing today, Quatrell?
Oh, man, blessed to be here. Thanks for having me, JJ. Appreciate you.
Indeed, we are blessed to be here. It's great to meet great people who are doing great things, and I appreciate you being willing to come on here and talk about what you're doing because, you know, we haven't had a long conversation before this, but it just seems like you're doing so many great things. Would you be willing to tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, man, 100%. So real quick, just to give you a little synopsis, two-time author, publisher for Cut From a Different Cloth, which is my book, my brand, as well as working with the great mentor I have, Les Brown, and did a collaboration on the Motivation Manifesto. Great book, it's got 14 of us in there with great stories. But before I even, came to that process of going through military, as we are formerly comrades, give you the synopsis of the life story. Background history: was born out of Newark, New Jersey. My mother was pretty much running the streets at the time, and she didn't have a need to keep me, so I was adopted pretty much informally with my aunt, who I call my mother. Raised me all the way up, till then. So my biological mother had passed away. So I'm dealing with a lot of that, emotional stress and traumas and whatnot, because I didn't change my last name over. I just kept it as Walker instead of changing it over to Hall. That was one of the requests that my mom had made. So you can imagine growing up in school, having the kids asking all these questions like, oh, who's this guy? Why is your last name not this, not that? So it just started to get a little thicker, build a thicker skin on me. And at the time, I was more rebellious, wanting to do whatever I wanted to do because, your steadfast place that you called home is not home, and you're building that thing anew. So it just led me down the wrong path. Let's just say a bumpy road, pretty much. But once you get to that point in your life and your freedoms and liberties are kind of taken away from you, that's the light bulb moment, man, where you got to make a change and do something for the better. So I had to really dig deep within myself and ask myself and say, what is it that you love doing? What did I love doing back as a kid? And that was playing with G.I. Joe. I'd be the kid out in the backyard with the G.I. Joes, throwing them up in the air, having the parachute down, Storm Shadow, Destro. I mean, you name it. I was loving it, playing with these guys. So I had to take it back to there. And I said, you know what? Boom, I'm running right to the office and talked to the recruiter. And he was like, okay, we're going to see what we can do. We can get you in. And they did, man. So I came back home to my aunt, which is, like I said, my mother, and told her, I said, hey, I'm out of here. She was like, out of here where? I said, I'm going to the military. She was like, what? So they were all surprised, caught off guard. But that was something I wanted to do. And it got me away from, the path that I was going down, And that's the first and foremost part of becoming a man. Once you're able to pass through basic training and all that, you find out a lot of grit that you didn't have within yourself and things you couldn't do. So, I mean, putting yourself in situations that you really can't get out of, but you have to work through, you know. And I'm a strong believer in not having quit in my vocabulary. So I was going to stick through it. And with that process, I was selected to become a part of the Old Guard, 3rd U.S. Infantry. So supporting the Caisson platoon. And that was awesome. Great experience in the military. And 9/11 happened. So of course, 9/11 jumps off and I'm right there, 2001 going down. And we were the first ones pretty much to help out at the impact site. So that was something pretty heavy to deal with. And then I took my talents over to Germany. So as soon as I got over there to Germany, a lot of training and whatnot, and led us over to the sandbox. So we're playing out in Iraq, supporting everything, and losing a lot of guys, man, that are your battle buddies, 18 years old, 19, young guys, and it puts a lot of emotional toll, a lot of stress on you, and how you deal with that. So my number one cope with a lot of my other guys is going to the gym. I still go to the gym this day as a great stress outlet, to relieve that pressure and whatnot. So these are the stories and the things that I talk about, whether it's veterans that are, transitioning out, or just people in general. It's always a safe haven when you're able to talk about those type of things. So, and then I landed my boots back over here at Fort Drum, thinking I'd be closer to home, because being from New York, that's the closest duty station. I'm like, yeah, let's go up here. And here we go. Not even 6 months in, guess where we go? We go to Afghanistan. So I was like, okay. Epiphany happened. I didn't want to be that guy, because there's a lot of close calls, man. And the light bulb came on, the man from within and above, or however you want to look at it, just basically talked to me and said, listen, I got other plans for you. So it's time for you to, hang this up and go on and do bigger and better things. And that's what I did from that point on. Retired out of the military, started working on the civilian side. But then I said, you know what? I want to work on that passion. And I love working with cars. As a kid with my father, he'd be in the garage, or my uncle, he'd be in the garage, detailing his car up, and I'm like, oh, okay, you got a knack for it. So that became a hobby that turned into a career field. I didn't even know it, So now I was coaching and mentoring soldiers that are in the career skills program, getting ready to transition out from the Army, and show these guys that you can make a living, detailing cars. And I'm not a substantial living if you're doing it properly. So from that mode on, I was like, okay, let's not, I could do this bigger and better. So I linked up with Les Brown. I linked up with John Maxwell. I linked up with Jeremy Anderson, Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher. All these guys I wanted to link up with that are in the field, so I can expand on this gift of giving, you know what I mean? And really, teach these methods and tools that everyone's cut from a different cloth. It's how we weave that fabric and today to build that tapestry. So, and it's all done by the choices. So I'm really big, impactful, and powerful on the 3P method, which is practice, patience, and perseverance. That's in my book. I talk that, I walk that. You always got to have, practice what it is that you want to do, and have patience within yourself to learn it with anything. And then have that perseverance, because you're going to have humps, bumps, roadblocks, and just persevere through anything and stay clear to the course of what you're trying to get to. So that's led me to where I'm at today, speaking with you and trying to get the message out to the masses, So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, man. But I'll tell you, JJ, the biggest thing, man, is our youth, man. I'm really honing in on the educators and how they can teach our youth, and as well as the kids, to keep that dream alive, that vision alive, and keep it going.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and that's important too, because in education, they're the same as in the medical field. They tend to promote people into positions, and they're not necessarily ready for it. They go from straight an educator to now they're in a leadership position, and then they have all these other educators answering to them. And that is, whether you're ready for it or not, if you've never had anybody answering to you before, that is not an easy thing. I mean, there's pressure, there's fear, there's the whole 9 yards, and that gets a little bit intense. And so if there's no one guiding you or directing you through that process, then it's going to take forever to try to figure it out, for one, or sometimes you just get stuck in bad habits. So what kinds of things do you help these educators and stuff like that with?
Like for instance, I mean, we all have to learn one thing, and I kind of teach this as well, is that anytime you come across something that is new, especially when we're older, when we're younger, it's cool because we can absorb that because we have to learn that. Okay. Yeah. But when we get to the ages, when we're out on our own, we're adulting. Okay. It's hard to embrace things new because of the fear factor. You're out of your comfort zone. So once you're out of your comfort zone, you start to grow. If you stay comfortable, you're going to stay where you're at. If you want to be stagnant in your life and that's what you want to do, I mean, hey, that's okay. But if you're asking the questions like, I know I can do more, you have to be uncomfortable. So embrace that. And that's a part of the fear factor. It's definitely scary. I mean, I was scared going overseas, that's nothing to be playing around with, but you got to embrace that,
Yeah.
and say to yourself every day that, okay, today's going to be a great day. This is what we're going to do today, and work on that. Not, oh man, I'm going to get shot at, or this is going to happen. I'm going to get blown up, whatever. You don't talk about those type things. Let's build and culminate on the things that we can do to get to that next level,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And what ends up happening as you're going through this process, and I'm big on self-reflection. When people are doing these things and they're making mistakes, one big hindrance while they're going through this growth process is they tend to blame all the outcomes while they're out here making these mistakes on everyone else other than themselves. And when you learn that it's okay to make mistakes and learn that it's okay to accept the blame for those mistakes and learn from them, I think that's probably just as important as the lessons themselves.
100%. I mean, the greatest thing I tell you, a lot of people shut themselves down. It's imposter syndrome, man. Everybody has some type of sort of imposter syndrome where they say, I can't, or that's for them, or whatever the case may be. I mean, here's how I look at it. If something came to you and your dream, your vision, your mind, no one can tell you that you can't do that except for you. So that's
right.
Your choice. You're making the choice to say that you can't do it, But if you look at it holistically, I think it's really selfish that you don't expand upon that, especially when that idea and that dream came to you. We wouldn't have half these innovators that we have. Nikola Tesla, Steve Jobs. I mean, the list is endless of innovators that have been thinking outside of the box. If that vision didn't come to them and they didn't create that, where would we be at? You know what I mean? You wouldn't have an iPhone. So,
yeah. So what? You also mentioned that you do things with veterans. And you talked about the mechanic stuff where you're teaching them some things, but what are more of the things that you're doing with these transitioning veterans?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about game planning. So when you got guys getting out, I mean, you have master sergeants, sergeant first classes. It doesn't matter what rank you are, to be honest with you. It's having that game plan, and it's finding out what your purpose is. You don't know what that is because you're this. You're one trick pony. This is all you've done for over 20 years. So you are scared. So I basically sit these guys down and I talk to them. What do you do outside of the military? What are you doing off hours? Okay. And whatever that is, if it's hunting, fish, whatever you love to do that you get lost in, let's focus in and harness on that, because there's a purpose behind that. If your wife has to ask you, honey, it's time to eat, or somebody has to pull you away from something, that should be a light bulb moment like, oh, I love doing this. I lost track of time. So if that's the case, let's build on that. I don't care what it is. We can make a foundation and see if it's valid or not. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. I'm not telling you to go out, because everybody's not able to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's build that foundation and see what you're good at. So when you do take that next step and go to that next level, it's not considered work because you're working in your passion.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. And so if that's the case, I'm sure there was a process for you to be able to figure that out, to be able to help those transitioning veterans with that. Tell me a little bit about your transition. How did that go for you?
Man, I tell you, it was pretty smooth. I kind of set it up so when I was getting out, I wasn't like, oh, I'm just getting right out. I knew the time was coming to hang the boots up on the wire, and I said, okay, let's go ahead and matriculate this into a government job, because at the time I was going to just transition from the regular military into a federal service, GS worker or whatnot, and then work that route. So I had that already lined up, fell right into that. But I was like, man, I'm still wearing the suit. I'm still feeling like I'm wearing a suit as a government employee. There was no onus over me, so it was still, hey, I need this, that. And I was still almost like I was in the uniform, and I didn't want to have that. So I said, okay, that's when I had to, like you said, find out what it was that I wanted to truly do and the purpose behind that. And that was just a hobby that worked myself out of work pretty much. Once I started making more than what I was I was losing money going to my job. So I told the wife it was a no-brainer. I just came home one day, said, yeah, I dropped my paperwork. I'm done, and then the sky's the limit. 13 years later, I'm still doing what I love.
Yeah.
So it's honestly having a calculated risk. If you really do, in the military, we do risk assessments, okay? To check your PCCs and all that, making sure everything is good, PMCSs and everything. If you do the same thing within your life to make sure that everything is in order, so you take that calculated risk, I mean, it's really not going to fail as bad as long as you're following that game plan. You might just have a little dip, but guess what? You learn from that, and then let's go ahead and rise to the occasion and overcome and make it happen, because we're not insane. You and I both know we're not insane. We're not going to create the same thing that's giving us a negative outcome.
That's right.
So we learn from that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Being able to look at what's working, what's not working, basically doing an AAR. And for what the audience, if you don't know what that is, constantly, doing something, test out, see if it's what you want to do, see what went right, see what went wrong, see what you want to keep on doing, and see what you want to kind of push away.
That's right.
Because that didn't work. And move forward that way. Because I mean, if you're not ever doing any reflection on what you're doing and you're just going through the motions, life is going to take you over. So I love that you kind of chose to not go through those motions, such as so many people do. You just went from the uniform to putting on a different monkey suit and putting a polo or a dang whatever on it and going to work as a civilian the next day. That's great. I mean, there are so many benefits to doing that, but if it doesn't suit you, then why would you want to keep on doing that? And so you chose entrepreneurship. It's great. So what if somebody out there wanted to, hire you for whatever, I mean, to do a speaking engagement, or what other services do you offer as part of your company?
Yeah, they have this thing. Everybody uses the term, life coach. There's everybody's life coach. I don't do that. I'm an accountability coach. So I do one-on-ones. I work with people and I hold you accountable. So if we sit down, sometimes we'll have conversation. It's not my vision. It's not my dream, but I'm going to hold you accountable by putting processes and procedures in place that will get you eventually to where you're trying to get to if you're consistent, So those are the things that I do as far as that goes. As far as like keynotes, I go out to organizations and I teach people how to coach and give feedback properly. So, and in top organizations, people, with the middle level people, disseminated down to the worker bee. How are you getting the information out? Is it effective? Is the feedback working for you? So some of them don't even know about a pancake method. You hit people with a positive, highlighting what they did good. You show them the negative and then reinforce it with a positive. So then they have the onus of it, simple little tricks like that. No different than, what the military instills. So I take a lot of that stuff that I've learned, the ethos from there, and I develop my own, program cut from a different cloth. And I work with the clients every day. Everyone's different. So it's case by case. But when I'm out there speaking to the kids or to the youth, I'm really speaking life into them, as in it can happen. You can. So just take that can't out of your vocabulary, because when you say you can't, that means there's a fear somewhere in there. You're afraid of something when you say I can't. So we have enough resources with our day and age that if you don't know, trust me, you can look it up, find out somebody who does. So there's no reason to have that in your vocabulary. And I teach them to change that.
Okay. Well, I would say that talking to kids, especially high school kids, is probably not the easiest thing to do. What are some, if somebody else wanted to talk to high school kids or influence the youth somehow, what's some advice that you want to give to those people? Because that idea, I love it to death. I love kids, but in getting influence from them, it means you have to have their buy-in. So what's some advice that you would have to somebody who's trying to get out there and do that?
Yeah, I was a knucklehead, man. So in high school, and I was I was out there. I was free willy. I was doing what I needed to do, not going to classes and just being that guy. So everyone has a story, and once you're able to identify with what your story is and then put it together, you can speak to anybody. You see what I mean? We've all had downtimes. We've all had pitfalls. We've all had roadblocks. This is life. This is the course of the journey. But how you navigate through that, that's where you're building and crafting your story, which is unique to you and you only. So if you ask me if that's the path that someone wanted to go out and take and do, look within and then bring it without. You see what I'm saying? Look within yourself, get your story, and then tell it without, So that's been a blessing because I live it. I walked it, So I'm not, there's no sugarcoating. This is what you get.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you relate to these kids through storytelling.
100%.
You try to get them to relate to you through you telling your story and hoping that something you say resonates with them.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
I mean, I've been told I can't so many times. And here's the thing is that when you're in a suburban school and you're pretty much the only black kid there, it's like you're a fly in milk. Okay. You stand right out. So if anything's jumping off, we're going to look over here and check with him first to see if everything's good. So, I mean, the stories that I have of just embracing and just the resilience aspect of not listening to a lot of these educators or people that had already counted me out. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And to thrive and keep going and propelling, knowing that I have something better and greater than what these other people are telling me. It's no better blessing to be able to say that I am a success now. You know what I mean? They always say that, I've heard this before, that the best revenge is success. You know what I mean? Just by those that thought you couldn't, now you are cheering you on, but are not going to tell you that. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when I was reading through your stuff, you've written a book as well. Have you not?
Yes. That's cut from a different cloth. I just had a book signing over the weekend, which was phenomenal. I got invited out to go to another place, which is another blessing. So doing a lot of great things, man. And within that book, I pretty much have told a story. Like, I talk about time management. I talk about calculated risks. I talk about love, like loving yourself and loving what you do. There's a lot of tidbits in there, man, that I talk about, but it's worth a read for sure. If you're looking for growth and you're trying to grow yourself outside the box thinking concepts, I'm giving you that blueprint so you can work with that.
Now, it's a pretty bold thing to want to get up in front of people and talk, to go in a bookstore and sit there and talk to people about something that you poured your heart into and all that other stuff. What got you to the point where, you decided it takes a nut job like you and me to start a business anyway. So, I mean, what got you to the point where you decided you wanted to get up on stage or to be in front of people and speak these truths? Because that's not an easy thing to do. I know I wrote my story, and I'm going to be honest with you. There were times where I was thinking about what I should put next, and it put me in tears just writing about it. And I've had to speak about it too, but this isn't about me. I want to know what got you to the point where you wanted to do that, because it's not easy, and it's actually one of the hardest things I've ever done as well. So what about you?
Yeah, I say you're right. 100%. It is one of the hardest things to do. But again, it goes back to being selfish. If I have a message and I can impact at least one person out of that room that I'm speaking with, they're going to impact another person. You see what I mean? Yeah. And that goes on and on and on. So, I mean, if you got the whole room grabbing it and feeling it and facilitating what I'm preaching and practicing, then that's outstanding. But the biggest thing was, like you said, just getting over the fear of speaking and being able to articulate your message. But this is something that I live by. Like you said, you almost come to tears because it leaves you vulnerable. You know what I mean? And that's part of it. If you can embrace being vulnerable and all the things that other people don't want to feel, and actually embrace that feeling and be able to give that back to others, you'd be surprised, man. The book signing, I had a gentleman crying. He brought me to tears because he's crying because he read a little bit of the book. So, I mean, it tells me that I'm doing the right thing, because I had the same notion, like, I'm just going to write it. I'm going to chill out. I'm not going to go speak, But it took something inside of me said, you have a message that needs to be told. So especially for the genre that I speak to and the people that I help impact.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for doing that. More people need to be brave enough to do that, because especially it seems like these days, ever since COVID happened, people just there's this lingering fear over society right now, and I don't even know what they're afraid of, to be quite honest with you. But people just aren't going for things like they used to, and
Yeah.
even in I do a lot of leadership instruction and stuff like that, and people get nervous and they don't want to have the hard conversations and they don't want to do the hard things as much as they did, and so oftentimes they kind of curl up in a ball. So people that know that it's hard, that want to help people, and are out there to just do nothing but give back and spread a good message, it needs to happen because it inspires people
Yes.
to, like this podcast. The whole reason I did it is to get people off the couch and back into the game. It's speak up, show up, lead for a reason, because you don't lead by not speaking up and showing up. So I mean, what you're doing is it's making a difference. It really, really is. And we're at the point of the podcast now. I ask everybody the same question: what if you could speak to the person that's struggling with that next step in their life? What's a piece of wisdom that you could share that you could give to that person?
For persons struggling within their life, I think they need to block out all the outside noise. Let's be honest. When you turn the news on, all you see is negative. You look at your Facebook, something bad. Anything that you look at is negative. So don't look with outside. Block all that noise out and take time for yourself. Look within. I mean, do things, practice meditation, listen to some different music, like change up your habits, change up something at least 1%. You can't put too much on people because, like you said, they shut down. So if you can change something 1% out of your day that's for the greater good, then where do you think you're going to be 365 if you stay consistent? People are going to look at you as a whole new person because you're shedding new skin. You see? So if you can just do that and stay the course on what it is that you want to do that's positive or that makes you feel good inside, and block out all that external that says, oh, he's a weirdo, or that's stupid, or he'll never make it, or what's he doing that for? And the sad part is, JJ, a lot of it comes from your family and your close friends. They look at you like you got 5 heads on. So if my dream is not big enough that you're not looking at me crazy, I'm not dreaming big enough. Okay. So you got to dream big and you got to stay the course, because that's your vision and nobody can make you change it except for you by the choices you make. The choices are the biggest thing, man. And you could have, even everyday life, JJ, you could have a good day as a good choice or a bad day. You wake up, you go to sleep. Let's real quick analogy. Let's say if I had a bad day, right? I go to sleep on that bad day. How do you think the next day is going to be when I wake up? I'm carrying that bad day right over with me, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. You're going to wake up disgruntled. You're going to be like, oh, man, I didn't have coffee or whatever. No, you didn't deal with what you had to deal with yesterday. Okay? So let's deal with that emotionally and tap into yourself and make the right choices, because the only one that holds the weight over it is you. You are your own person, man. To deal with, just make the right choices. That's it. Don't listen to the outside.
Don't listen to the outside. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. And that's a message that a lot of the service members in my audience need to hear, and service members everywhere. Because when we transitioned it, we feel like our identity just got thrown away sometimes. And all of those traits that we developed in the military, people will teach us cool things, but we developed those traits because that's what we got out of it. That was who we are. That's what we did, not what somebody else did. So, that I agree. They need to shut out all the noise. I know I felt it the first time I got up on stage. I felt like everyone was judging me because I was this military guy in a room full of civilians, which likely was not even true at all. And sometimes that still sits up here. Who wants to hear another story from a military guy? But, if if you just block out the noise, like you said, and just do what you got to do, focus on the mission, which when you're getting out of the military, that mission is what's next.
Right. Right.
And you treat it like any other mission, right?
Right.
Where you don't quit until whatever that mission is for you is accomplished. Whatever success looks like for you is accomplished. But you're about to say something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's because I was highlighting on what you said. Just a caveat is that when you get out and you're transition, and listen, we were gung ho super fast, and when you get out, you're new now. You're a newbie. So guess what? You're in a metamorphosis stage. Okay, so you're a caterpillar. All right, you're a caterpillar now. You found out what it is that you want to do, so it's time to go in the cocoon. Now you're in the dark room. Okay, so you get in your cocoon, you get in the dark room, you get everything you need to do, learn it. So you're earning all the knowledge, everything, school, the tool sets, everything that's going to make you successful. And then once you get yourself out, you're a beautiful butterfly. It's time to fly. Boom, you ready to go. So, but everything takes a process. And the sad part is that the day and age we live in, we're conditioned to this fast food lifestyle of having it right now. You know, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't like to ingest empty calories. Okay. Fast food lifestyle. You intake empty calories, you eat that Big Mac or whatever, it curbs your hunger for 2 hours. And next thing you know, you're hungry again. So what I bring into my mental and my capacity and my body and everything, I'm making sure it's holistic, that it's going to last me and it's going to endure me through that time of whatever I need to go through. Not something that's in and out. I want to have something that's long lasting.
It's like having the oatmeal instead of the cereal.
There it is.
Well, so Quatrell, thank you for sharing everything, man. So if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, man, you can check me out. I'm on Facebook, of course, Quatrell over at Facebook. You can link me at LinkedIn as well, too. If they want to hit me on an email, I have booking, which is Quatrell Walker at Gmail. So booking, Quatrell, Quatrell. Sometimes I miss a L, Walker, and that's gmail.com. But yeah, they can link me up, man. I'm out there for sure. So you can also check my book out. It's on Amazon, available just like yours, JJ. So cut from a different cloth. Appreciate that. And if you want a little motivation from a lot of different perspectives, there's the Motivation Manifesto that's out there as well, too. But if you want to link up and actually have a conversation, 315-965-3030.
And I figured I'd go ahead and throw your website.
Yeah, that's the plug right there. Bingo.
for anyone who is watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or maybe if you see it later on Spotify, his website is also listed right here at the bottom of the screen.
100%.
So is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we cut this out?
Yeah, real quick, man. I just want to let everybody know that we all have talents, man. We're all gifted. So embrace your uniqueness and weave that everyday life and choices into your own tapestry, man. So later on in life, you can show your kids or whomever that this is what we did. This is where we're at. Create that by your choices today, man. Don't let some outside influences make the choices for you. Make your own choices. That's big and important now.
Yes. That's sound. So thank you so much for sharing everything. And just to remind everybody, before I go and do my last promotion of my book, www.quatrellwalker.com. I'm looking on here and it seems like you can purchase his book. You can get in contact with him. You can do just about everything from here, including finding his social media and everything. So go to quatrellwalker.com. He's there. And before we end, don't forget to go to Amazon.com and buy Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, My Story, Lessons Learned, not a bunch of BS. It's the real deal. It'll help you out if you're in a rut, especially because it seems like, especially before the military, that's all my life was. So check it out. Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, Amazon.com. Yeah, we have a lot more in common than I thought, Quatrell. Thank you so much again for coming on here. And wherever everybody else is seeing this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, depending on where you're at, if it's Spotify or YouTube. But the most important thing is please leave a comment below. I'll share those with Quatrell. and he'll see, because I think he's tagged in here anyway. So keep the conversation going. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.